Buenos dias, guten morgen, konnichiwa. Hey, how's it going? And of course, aloha. This is the 40th episode and season finale of the Closers podcast, and I am your host on this very special episode, Quinn Kalani, and I am joined by the patriarch and creator of the Closers podcast, Marco Alvarado. Marco, how's it going?
Damn, dude. Hey, that was a great fucking intro. You definitely showed me up. Holy shit. That was awesome. I'm good though. I'm very good. It's weird to be here at this final episode of season 1, episode 40.
Big deal.
It's weird to say it's been 40 episodes.
Super. Did you anticipate 40 episodes?
No, I can't say that I did. Honestly, I didn't think I would get past 10.
Wow.
Just because I didn't think anybody would like it enough to want to listen to the show for as long as people have. And especially in the beginning, there was a lot more excitement around the podcast because it was new, especially during the summer, and then with the live streams. And after August, things dipped. But I wanted to stay consistent for all the core listeners because I have about a good 25 people that listen regularly. And
sick.
Like, I can't let those people down.
Yeah.
Even though, a lot of other viewers or listeners might come and go, I just felt like I needed to push through. And it was hard towards the end, but to be here now, as you were at one point on the precipice of a new chapter in your life, and I'm about to enter a new chapter in mine.
Here you are on that precipice.
Yeah, I'm here, and it's the final episode. I'm just glad that it's we're able to get together on this special occasion, just like we did with the first episode, where you were the guest.
I'm very stoked. I'm super stoked. I'm super stoked to be here. I'm very honored that you asked me to kind of lead the intro in this final episode. I remember at Leatherby's when the conception of the Closers podcast was born.
Yeah.
Or conceived, I guess you should say.
Yeah.
And to see where it's come now is super gnarly. I'm super proud of you. Just to get housekeeping out of the way, super proud of you.
No, thank you.
And how far it's gotten. More housekeeping, just to get it out of the way before we start talking about things that are more enjoyable to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
The future of the pod.
Ooh.
Where do you see it going?
So, we're recording this on Monday. This will be out the following Monday. So we're recording this on the 6th, so this will be out on the 11th. Yesterday, I recorded an episode with my boss, Greg Higley, who you've probably already listened to if you're listening to this, you probably already listened to that episode.
And I've listened, as of right now, I've listened to a snippet of it and massively impressed.
It's crazy. Yeah, Greg did a great job. I'm really happy and thankful that he opened up the way he did. It made for a very special episode. That episode, like I said at the very end of that episode, that's why I wanted to do this podcast, is because I wanted, and that's why I've kept it going, because I love hearing about other people's personal stories and personal lives. And in the first episode, I said that this podcast is a place for regular people to be able to speak their mind. And because I feel like on a lot of shows, it's all celebrities just giving their opinions, or people that are maybe more established in a certain career or a certain market or something that has some sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Some sort of
niche.
Notoriety. Yeah. They have a higher standing in society or something. So people want to listen to them. But I feel like everybody has something interesting to say or something interesting that they do. And even the variety podcasts that you and I have done, I feel like there's interesting things that we both have to say on those podcasts that are unique to those specific episodes themselves.
Yeah.
So I think this Closers podcast, to go back to your first question or your first statement, is a celebration of just people in general and the uniqueness and the diversity that humans just are, or humans are just comprised of. Going back to the future of the podcast and why I brought up Greg's episode is, on that podcast I said that I'm not sure if there's going to be a season 2 of the podcast. There's been a lot of stress that has come with doing the show, like I said in the beginning of this episode.
It's a lot of work.
With doing school, trying to get guests to, commit to times. Dealing with people canceling last minute and having to find replacement guests who are, luckily, the likes of Jake Jonas, Jameson Phillips, Carlito Salamanca, Gavin Stein, Andrew Gale, guys like that just coming on when I need somebody because I don't want to let those core fans down.
For sure.
So thank you to them. But dealing with things like that while going to school, while also doing my music, which, I'm having a show tonight, which I'm excited about. Doing that, having another side project, Dreary Eyes, which I seldom talk about, but we're gearing up to put out some more stuff too. I'm doing a lot, and the podcast is always something I can go back to, but I'm just not sure when. It'll be put on a shelf for a time, but while I'm in Sweden, my dad wants me to at least do some sort of like
maybe like a closing out the week. Yeah,
maybe some closing out the weeks to just keep it going for a time while I'm in Sweden so people can catch up with me.
Yeah.
People can see the people that I meet. Because this is really, truly a celebration of the human existence and how the diversity we have, there's only, there's a lot of people out there. And
plus, it's got to be cathartic and therapeutic for yourself. Mm-hmm. And I can only imagine in a new setting, in a new location, that would only be amplified.
Exactly. And the people that I'm going to meet when I'm there, I can only imagine at the moment how they're going to be, who they are, and I know I'm going to meet a lot of characters.
Yeah,
I know I'm going to meet a lot of interesting people with a lot of interesting stories. So I know a lot of people here are going to want to listen to those stories. So for you, that is what I'll do. I'll put out some episodes. I don't know a schedule. I don't know anything yet. When I get there, it'll probably take me a month to establish myself. And once I get the equipment sent to me, then I will start it up for a short time. But when I get back from Sweden, I don't know how long I don't know if it's going to continue. Consider those Sweden episodes more so an epilogue to this core season.
The dessert for the main course.
Exactly.
Swedish fish, if you will.
Yes. Swedish fish. So that's the future of the podcast.
Worst candy in the world, by the way.
You think so?
That and candy corn.
I think there's worse.
Oh, God. I don't know, man.
Candy corn, I think black licorice is the absolute worst candy of all time.
You might be right. I honestly can't remember the taste of black licorice because I haven't had it in so long.
It's what I think tires would taste like if you were to like fry them and try to eat the rubber. That's what I feel like. And I don't know why people like there's some people that stand by black licorice. Like they're like, nah, it's the best. I can barely do red licorice.
Red vines?
Yeah, I can barely do those. My dad loves those. When he's eating or when he's watching a movie, he has to have red vines.
They're a theater staple. Mm-hmm. Well, since we got that out of the way, the future, unsure, but I believe there is some hope.
Yeah, there is a hope. Even if it's revised. I was talking about this with my mom the other day, and she tossed out an idea of like, well, because it was stressful for you to find guests.
Yeah.
And there were some people that were very easy to get to and easy to have on, and others were very tough to get on. Why don't you just stick with the main people who are available to you? And so like
the closer's crew.
You have a closer's crew, and every other week you have a guest on that is not part of the crew. And so like you have week 1 of the month, guest. Week 2, crew. Week 3, guest. Week 4, crew.
Closing out the month.
Mm-hmm. And you only have 1 episode each week, so it's not as stressful for me to constantly do 2 episodes a week.
Yeah.
So maybe, we'll see. I just have to see how things are when I get back from Sweden, and I'll be able to better evaluate things. But for now, it looks like I will have at least 2 episodes a month while I'm in Sweden from like probably March to June. So follow the Closers Podcast Instagram account at the Closers Podcast, Facebook at Closers Podcast, and we also have a YouTube channel. So you can follow all those social medias, and you'll be able to keep up to date on what exactly is happening with the podcast. But for now, this is the last episode until probably end of February when I'm established in Sweden. So
sick. We're all looking forward to it. You've also recently, it was your birthday a couple of days ago.
I'm 23. 23.
Like Michael Jordan.
Yep. Also that one Blink-182 song that everybody references. I'm not going to make the joke, but everybody, literally everyone has told me that joke recently.
How was it?
Yeah, it was a good birthday, man. Really chill.
Low key?
Super low key. All I did was just woke up. I take a very dramatic picture of myself every year. I don't know why that tradition started, but it just randomly did with my 19th birthday. The first picture I took was just one that I kept to myself. I didn't post it or anything. The second one I posted that. People really liked it, I guess. And then I just kept doing it every year after. So I started my day doing that. Then I, got dressed. My parents and I went to this place out in Dixon called Mary's Pizza Kitchen. It's a very, 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 very good Italian restaurant pizzeria out in Dixon. World famous, apparently.
Wow.
Yeah. They have like 3 locations. They have one in Roseville, I think. One in Dixon and one somewhere else. But we went there, ate, had a glass of really good white wine. Then we went to the Vacaville outlets, got some clothes, came home. And that's it. Really chill. I'm not really too into celebrating my birthday or celebrating me in general, unless it's like for a good occasion. I don't think personally, I don't like birthdays to be celebrated. Like
celebration should be based off merit, not just
just
existing.
Exactly. But for me, personally, that's how I feel. For others, I love celebrating other people's birthdays.
Yeah,
like my friends and stuff. I love making them feel special. But for me, I look at it as a chore. I'm like, oh my God, people are going to come over the house. I have to entertain these people. I have to interact. Like on my birthday, I just want to like take it easy.
Stay humble, brother.
That's all I want.
In the words of Habib, stay humble.
Exactly.
Number 1, stay humble.
Yeah.
All right, so if you're going to bring a pizza, then it begs the question.
Oh, no. Yeah.
New York or Chicago? Thin or thick?
Okay,
I mean, for my money, I like my pizza like I like my women, thick and full of meat. What about yourself?
You're good at this host thing, dude. Jesus Christ, baby. You should have been the host this whole time. Fuck. Until recently, I was with you. I was a thick boy. I was all about that thickness with pizza. Now,
you like to fold it, smack it,
dude. That's the thing that changed it.
Really?
I never. No one. Okay,
that makes it a calzone. That's not pizza.
My parents never taught me growing up that you can fold your food if you want. Like my mom is a very neat eater,
a traditionalist.
She's a very she eats sometimes her pizza with a fork and a knife. Like she's very neat.
That's a little.
My dad isn't as neat, but I don't think he even knew to fold the pizza.
I'll say I don't like it when my food touches. That may make me a child, but.
What do you mean?
Like, say I got Salisbury steak.
Yeah.
Mashed potatoes.
Right.
Green beans.
Yeah.
I don't like them touching. I like a good 2 to 3 centimeters separating.
That's interesting.
Each thing.
I used to be that way, but as I got older, I realized like mixing the things together actually like.
I mean, if it's bread and olive oil, then I'm all about it. But.
But yeah, no, I'm a flat guy now because folding the pizza. I've had some really good flat pizza. There's some flat like I think it's easier to make a good pizza with thicker bread, with the thick bread.
Well, the bread is so much more important when it comes to Chicago style thick pizza.
Yeah, and I think it's easier to make better pizza with
you want
thick
that
bread.
Airiness, you want you want kind of the cushion.
But with thin pizza, it's so much easier to make bad pizza. But if you get
that's your lunchroom pizza.
Yes. But if you get a good New York style pizza, like there's no thick pizza that can touch it.
Wow.
I don't believe so. And I've had that pizza.
What are we talking, just regular pepperoni?
Nope. So there's this place down in Las Vegas called Evil Pie, and it's called Evil Pie after Evel Knievel. That place, I went down there with my friends who are all vegan and vegetarian. I'm not either of those things, but when we went down there, they got the vegan pizza, right?
I like vegan pizza.
Dude, they got the vegan pizza. I was very skeptical. To this day, it is the best pizza I've ever eaten in my life, and it's flat. And the bread and just everything is just so good. And that's why it's my favorite, just because of that one specific place. I have to beat
I got
some
vegan
flat.
pizza right at number 2 behind the classic pepperoni.
Really?
Oh, yeah, dude.
What
Vegan,
about-
it
what
just
about-
works. You know, I'm not a sausage guy. And I'm not like a real meaty pizza kind of guy.
Yeah.
Like, man, I like pepperoni.
Right.
And I like the combination.
Yeah.
Peppers, olives, some boomers. But
Some boomers.
but
Okay, boomer.
I'm not a giant fan of excess meat on it, like sausage,
Yeah,
Portuguese sausage, bacon,
I agree.
ham slices.
I can't do a meat lover's pizza. I can do
It's too much.
if
Too much meat.
exactly. I like when there's pepperoni and just vegetables on top with the sauce. Prime. How
Delicious.
can you beat that?
I mean, it's hard to beat pizza in general.
What's your
they say, bad pizza is still pizza.
Mm-hmm.
It's still
It's still
better
pizza,
than
yeah.
your run of the mill BLT, but
Yes. Oh yeah.
but
agree with that.
I don't know, man.
But-
I'm not a big folder of pizza. It's just kind of
You can't do the folding.
Nah, I don't like. I like the warmth. I like the kind of gooey texture on top when it hits the roof of your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
The dryness of the crust on the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
and then on the top,
Mm.
bit much for me.
I get that, but that's why you can't get a cheap pizza. You can't get a cheap New York style pizza. If you're gonna get a New York style pizza, you got to get it from a place that they know what they're doing and they oil the bottom too. Because if you got the oil on the bottom of the pizza underneath the dough, forget about it.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
Speaking about forgetting about it, we saw a movie recently
Oh
that
boy,
that was the most New York style movie I've seen in quite some time. Let me just say that it was astoundingly great. It is unequivocally my favorite movie of the year. I think it's the best cinematic experience of the year. It is a roller coaster. It's exhausting. It's a workout to watch this
Dude.
film. It is Uncut Gems, directed by the Safdie brothers,
Mm-hmm.
starring Adam Sandler, Julia Fox, and Kevin Garnett.
yes,
We saw it together.
yeah, we did last week, dude.
Blew my mind. What'd you think?
It blew my mind, and I understand why people on the East Coast, if that is how New Yorkers perceive the world, or if that's if that's how New Yorkers go about their lives, like existing, I can definitely understand how
Pure chaos.
they have like higher rate of heart disease and like
The life expectancy,
Diabetes.
I don't know how it's past 45.
yeah, I don't either. It doesn't make any sense, but dude, I love that movie. That movie was one of the best movies, obviously, I've seen in 20. It was before New Year, right?
Yeah, 2019.
Yeah. Wow.
We saw it a week after, I think a week after wide release, but we saw it on the 1st. We saw it.
Oh, we saw it on 2020.
Yeah, we saw it on the
okay,
1st, but it had already been out for a week, 2 weeks.
Yeah. Okay, so I would lump that into 2019 then. It is definitely one of the best movies I've seen in 2019. And Adam Sandler, I knew that if he was given a chance to be a serious actor, I knew that he had it in him. Nobody makes that many bad movies unless they know they're making bad movies, you know? So I feel like he's always had that in himself. He just was looking for the right opportunity and he found it. Also,
Killed it.
Julia Fox, she killed it too in that movie.
Bestow my heart. Bestow my heart. I'll say, one thing that movie did was completely had me reevaluate the concept of love
Yes.
and of relationships. We
In what way?
talked about it briefly afterwards. We went to In-N-Out, got down on some double doubles, but
Yep.
there's this traditionalist idea of marriage. It's everything's leave it to Beaver. Husband loves wife, wife loves husband. Yada yada yada. The kids are happy. There's a dog on a white picket fence.
Mm-hmm.
What this movie did, and without going too much into it or getting into spoiler territory, there's a part obviously where our main protagonist, Adam Sandler,
Howard.
His character, starts to go downhill, and it, not ironically, coincides with the most strainful part of his relationship with his mistress,
Julia Fox,
who is outstanding in it.
Oh, I can't believe this is only your second movie.
Outstanding. Once they reconcile their relationship, that's when things start to turn back up for Howard.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that it's not a traditional relationship. Howard is with Julia because how Julia makes Howard feel.
Yeah.
Julia is with Howard because of the
money.
The money.
The money.
The money. Maybe not so much the money, but the things that go with the success that Howard brings.
Yeah.
I definitely think there's an element of attraction to confidence, towards success.
Right. Nothing's wrong with that.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I agree. I think with their relationship specifically, I think a part of it is the lack of expectations that each other have for one another. So like with Howard's wife, she's
played great by Idina Menzel.
Oh yeah, super, super awesome. They both obviously have a lot of history, and there's a lot that the movie doesn't show about what has happened in their relationship, but you kind of get a sense of Howard stepped out on her, and even prior to that, there were issues.
Oh, their scenes together. Well, their scenes together are amazing, but watching their relationship and it's just downward spiral is just torturous.
Sad. It's sad just to even see it, and it's hard to even watch it. But going back to their relationship and contrasting that with Julia Fox and Howard's relationship, how his wife and Howard interact compared to Julia and Howard, it's like night and day, like you said.
There's an acceptance there between Julia and Howard.
Yeah.
They accept each other for who they are.
Yeah.
And if that's not what love is, acceptance,
that's true.
Then
what is it?
What are we doing?
Yeah, that's very true. And Julia doesn't make Howard make him act any other way.
Any other way than what he is.
Yeah. Like when Howard's creeping in the closet, creeping on her, and he just comes out randomly and scares her, like, that's Howard.
Yeah.
Like, even though he's a weird guy, like,
that's Howie.
He's playful in a way, and not the most serious guy. So, and she accepts that. She doesn't freak out and get mad at him for doing that.
And he accepts her for who she is.
Yes. Sleeping with the Weeknd. Go fuck the Weeknd. Go fuck the Weeknd. The Weeknd, the most random cameo I've ever seen.
Turn on that fucking black light. Where's the Coke?
Dude, the most random cameo I've ever seen. But it's interesting to see a movie set in 2012, which I don't know about you, or I don't know about anybody else that's listening to this, but
it's a period piece.
When I think of 2012, I don't think of it being too different from today.
Yeah.
But then you see how things were back then, even just a short, 8 years ago. Things are pretty different. Like there were differences.
Crazy.
Yeah.
How 2012 can be felt as a period piece, and yet it's still contemporary.
Yeah. Weird. Like The Weeknd was portrayed, the artist The Weeknd was portrayed as like the beginning of his career. Like he was playing like some really small club.
Yeah. That
like people were at, but he like can sell out. Not sell out arenas, but he could play arenas. So today
he could definitely sell out whatever arena in Dubuque, Iowa.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, it's just cool how they used artists and athletes who were so relevant at that time or were just starting their careers at that time.
There was an authenticity to it that ironically led to the suspension of belief.
Yeah.
Brilliant film. I can't highly recommend it. The ending literally froze us in our place.
I was not expecting that ending at all. I knew that fucking guy was a piece of shit. Everyone's a piece of shit in that movie, but like that guy specifically was like the king of him. And
yeah, there's not really an outstanding character of high moral quality in that movie.
But talking about outstanding just people, Kevin Garnett
killed it.
Killed it. Oh, I cannot believe that he's not an actor like regularly.
Anything is possible.
No, he played himself very well, and I feel like he could be in more movies if he really wanted to.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Bright future for Kevin Garnett. I really hope he kind of looks at it with
that in
potential.
Mind.
Yeah.
Kevin Garnett, one of the best aging athletes of our generation, would you say? I think so. The dude's like damn near 45 now.
Do you just mean aesthetically? Like how he looks?
Yeah, because he looks like
he could still ball.
They have videos of him that they used from 2012 when he was in the playoffs against the Sixers, and they shot other scenes in the movie today, and he looks the same.
Yeah.
Like, you could not tell that he's any different. Obviously, there's makeup and stuff.
He looks like he can still ball. You know who doesn't look like they can still ball? Is the quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles, Carson Wentz. Not of his own accord, but of one of the dirtiest hits I've seen in the last few years by
Jadeveon
the
Clowney.
Seattle O'Driscolls. Jadeveon Clowney.
The Seattle O'Driscoll. Dude, you think that hit was dirty?
That hit was dirty. He was sliding. He had already made contact with the ground, and he just launches himself, targets the head. It was dirty. That was a dirty hit, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Jadeveon Clowney's a dirty player. That was a dirty hit.
I honestly didn't see much of that game because I was too busy recording the podcast, running around doing other stuff. I only saw the New Orleans game from yesterday, but we can't talk about that.
I mean, honestly, no one should be surprised. Pete Carroll's one of the dirtiest football coaches in the history of professional or collegiate sports.
Yeah.
But that's beyond the point.
What makes you say that?
No basis. I just really hate the Seattle. I just really hate the Seattle O'Driscolls.
Well, they are the better team though over Philadelphia.
They are the better team. I will say that the game was much more competitive
than you thought.
Than I thought, and kudos to McCown for keeping the Eagles in it, man.
The McCown, he's not a great quarterback, but he's a dude that can keep your team in it. In any game, he can keep a team in any. I mean, he was the quarterback for the Browns when they didn't win for like 2 seasons, and he made games competitive still. So hats off to him.
This is his first playoff game too, I think.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Dang,
I think I saw that on the header.
That's crazy. Yeah, because he went from the Browns to the Jets. Oh God.
I will say the NFC wild card game. Between the Eagles and the O'Driscolls was, it was kind of mediocre entertaining wise. What was stellarly entertaining was the Minnesota Vikings versus the New Orleans Saints.
I agree. That was Kirk Cousins
finally getting the big one.
Well, yeah.
How about that dime to Adam Thielen?
That was crazy. I honestly, admittedly am a huge Kirk Cousins doubter.
You like that?
But I like
now
that.
You like it.
I like that. Let me tell you, I like that. Yeah. No, he impressed me a lot. But I talked to a San Francisco fan yesterday. I forgot where. Oh, yeah, what my friend's birthday party thing. And he said Kirk Cousins in primetime though, that's a different story. He sucks it up in primetime. Yesterday's game was not in primetime. But guess what other game is not in prime time? This game would have already happened by the time you're listening to this because this is coming out in 2 weeks. So we should preview the upcoming games too.
Yeah, totally.
But the Vikings going into Santa Clara to face the 49ers is not in prime time. That game is at 10 a.m. West Coast time.
That's a dangerous game. There's always that one team that is slept on in the postseason that ends up just making a run to the divisional. Yeah. Not the division, but the conference championships.
Yeah, and honestly, because that game is not in prime time, the Niners are going to have their hands full. Like Dalvin Cook looks he looks healthy now.
Solid, man.
He looks healthy now. Thielen, he looks healthy again.
Yeah.
Diggs, even though he was throwing tantrums on the sideline.
Minnesota defense is stingy as it always been.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, the Bay, man, Frisco.
Yeah.
Didn't see them coming this year. That was the one team that I was like, the Niners, really?
Yeah, me too.
But
honestly, though, Kirk Cousins, hot take right here. Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Jimmy G.
I would agree with that.
So, if you're going just straight based off quarterback play, the Vikings have the advantage. And
they have the advantage in the running game as well.
They do. You think so?
Yeah. I do, man. Dalvin Cook is hot right now. I think there's always that one team that gets the wild card bye and loses the momentum.
They just fall on their face. Yeah.
I think that very well could be the Niners. To overcome that absence of momentum, you really need a stud at quarterback.
Mm-hmm. To keep you going.
Yeah.
That's true.
And I'm not sure Jimmy G is that guy for San Francisco. I think he can be.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure if he is that guy. Now, the Niner defense, I think, is going to come out strong.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. But I am leaning towards Minnesota. In fact, I'm leaning to a all-NFC North Conference Championship, Minnesota versus Green Bay.
Wow. You think Green Bay over Seattle?
I will never pick Seattle to win anything.
Even if
they were the best team in the league unequivocally.
Even if they were playing the Bengals in the Super Bowl randomly.
Even if they were playing the Browns with Tim Couch at quarterback, I would not stand behind the Seattle O'Driscolls. This is something that's very near and dear to my heart. It's sports allegiance. I'm a Californian. I root for Californian teams. Albeit a Southern California team.
I know, yeah.
But yeah, it's ride or die. It's
ride
or die with me. I
feel it.
I have no interest in some pilgrim team.
Sticking with the NFL, but switching to the AFC.
Oh,
the Pats.
I was high on Derrick Henry all year. In fact, I remember during the opening season of the Fantasy League, I was very confident in Derrick Henry, and not so many other people were.
Yeah.
And he is the rushing leader.
Yeah.
For the season, man. Derrick Henry's a stud. And I think the Titans.
You think they can actually do something? Against the Ravens, though?
It's going to be tough.
Well,
Derrick Henry's going to have another 150-yard game.
Ryan Tannehill's going to have to start running too.
Dude, honestly, should they go Mariota?
No. What?
Why not?
Because I need to have a second to just process that question.
I'm not saying Mariota is the starter. But they've been running. Mariota gets about 2-3 snaps every game.
Yeah.
Should they implement more of a option wildcat look in this game?
Like a 2-quarterback thing?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Should they use Mariota the same way the Saints used, what is his name?
Taysom Hill?
Yeah.
I think it should be the opposite way. I think Ryan Tannehill is more athletic. He played wide receiver. So, if anything, the Taysom Hill would be Tannehill. Now, if they have practiced that type of scheme and those looks, I say, why the fuck not? The more diversity you have on an offense, I think was nothing but a positive thing.
Yeah.
But to do that to try to implement those things a week before, you're
one of the biggest games of the year,
the biggest game Ryan Tannehill has ever played in.
Oh, for sure.
Then, I don't think that's the necessarily most smartest move. I think the smartest move would be to find ways to get A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry in space and let them work. Because honestly, that Baltimore Ravens defense, as good as it is, when you try to go deep on them, that's when you get into trouble.
Yeah.
If you keep it close, keep it short, do a more West Coast type offense, and you do more RPO stuff where you're just letting Tannehill run when there's no looks open, and giving him the confidence to do that, getting Derrick Henry to just get into some space, him to go.
Yeah. Well, for sure, Derrick Henry's going to get 25 to 30 carries
but also working Dion Lewis into the passing game.
Yeah. In the flats and the screens. They had amazing screens.
They do
against the Patriots.
Yeah. If they kept that style of play up, I think that they can actually hang with the Ravens.
Well, they got to keep the Ravens' offense off the field.
Yeah.
That's the key. Keep them off the field.
Yeah.
Run down the clock.
I agree. I definitely agree. The other game that we just watched and who now, will move on to face the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. The Bills versus the Texans.
Tough loss. Tough loss for
Josh
Buffalo.
Allen goofed up that game.
I'm not going to put it all on Josh Allen.
Do
you think they should have just committed to the run?
Yeah.
With the lead?
Devin Singletary was playing really well.
Yeah.
I don't know why they stopped. I honestly wasn't able to watch too much of that game, but I just know that they were up 16-0 at halftime.
little McVay Goff quarterback happy.
Yeah.
They just run it. Just run it.
Yeah, just run it. Josh Allen, I'm a huge Josh Allen supporter. There's a lot of people that think he's too inaccurate. He's too loose with the ball. He
was your quarterback this year.
He was. And for a time, he was doing me well. And I'm still a big Josh Allen supporter. I like the way he plays. He plays with a lot of heart. And he does care.
Yeah.
He gives a damn. And that's why I support Josh Allen in Buffalo. I love him.
He's great in space, too.
Oh, he is.
On the run.
Mm-hmm. And he's a big dude. He's hard to tackle.
Yeah.
But he is a little too careless when he throws. And I think he'll work on that, just like Lamar Jackson worked on it last year. I think he will too.
They need a stellar tight end in Buffalo. They need a killer tight end.
Yeah, they need a Kelsey or something like that, which I think they'll get.
Or even like a Randolph or an Ertz.
Mm-hmm.
That second tier tight end.
Yeah. Dang, you think? Yeah, Ertz has dropped down to that second tier.
Yeah.
He was first tier last year.
I mean, you're thinking Kelsey,
Kittle,
probably first tier tight ends.
Kelsey, Kittle. Yeah.
I almost said Gronk. I keep forgetting he's not playing.
Yeah, rest in peace. Yeah, I'd say so.
Rest in retirement, Gronk.
RIR. But yeah, I'd say so. But yeah, now Houston has to go into Kansas City and play them, and I think that's going to be not even close because Mahomes is 100%. Tyreek Hill's back.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that team just looks like a well-oiled machine unless DeAndre Hopkins shows up and puts the team on his back.
Honestly, I would like to see Houston come away with it.
I would like to see that, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I've liked Deshaun Watson ever since Clemson. He's really fun to watch. He's a smart quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it'd just be cool, man. Houston to have their day.
I agree. They're always one of those teams that are just in it.
How about a Houston-Tennessee Conference Championship, the Oiler Bowl?
That'd be cool. I wouldn't mind to see it.
Right?
Honestly, I was joking with my dad yesterday, and I was like, I guess it's looking like a Vikings-Titans Super Bowl. He was like, that sounds like the worst. That is horrible. And I was just like, would it be horrible, though? Like, that'd actually be kind of exciting. Like, who knows what will happen in that game?
It would be exciting. It'd just be nothing but run plays.
Yeah.
And then the Vikings open up with pass action or play action and just start getting bombs to Diggs and Thielen, and I would pick the Vikings in that game against the Titans.
Yeah, that hypothetical long shot of a game. But yeah.
So how do you feel about Green Bay, Seattle? I mean, I am completely and totally biased. I shouldn't even speak on it. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about it?
I think that Green Bay defense is very susceptible to running quarterbacks and runs in general.
Yeah.
Run plays. I think their secondary is a lot more explosive than their defensive line. So if I were Seattle, I would tell Russell Wilson to have a throwback performance and try to run on him a little bit. He's not afraid to use his legs already.
Yeah.
So I would encourage him to do that more. And DK Metcalf, dude, like
that dude's a giant.
He has
that dude's yoked to the gills.
Dude, that guy, I thought he would come in just being like a Darius Hayward Bay, where he's a speedster, but he has no hands.
Yeah.
I thought it was a classic Al Davis type of pick where like we got the fastest guy. We got a fast guy.
Just win, baby.
Just win, baby. Yeah. But no, this guy actually has hands.
Yeah.
And he's also super fucking fast, and he's just a freak of nature. So utilize him and get him more involved. Is Lockett playing or is he hurt?
He had a good game yesterday.
Okay, so
but I don't know.
so
I don't know if he has any injury status.
Okay, I'm not sure either. But if Lockett's playing, I really like when they use screens to Lockett, or they get him in really short routes and let him go.
Yeah,
he's really shifty, and he can break tackles. Like, he's a really, really, really athletic guy. Very underrated athletically, I think.
Is Jimmy Graham still on the Seahawks?
No, he's on the.
Is he still in the league?
He's on the Packers.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he's on the Packers. Man, another tight end. Rest in peace, Jimmy Graham, too. Even though he's still playing, just like the fact that he
R.I.P. Rest on the pine.
Yeah, basically. Talk about a team that needs a good tight end. The Packers, if they had a tight end that was at least a third tier guy.
If you're the Green Bay Packers, how do you beat Seattle? Do you lean on Aaron Jones? Or you just leave it in Rodgers' hands?
I would do a mix of both, but I think the key philosophy you have to abide by is to take your time.
Run the ball. Time. Keep Wilson off the field.
Seattle likes to play in ugly games. Every game they've ever played, they've never played a normal game. Like, when was the last time you're just like, oh yeah, Seattle's just going to... There's always like a play where Seattle...
Not since like 2013 has the Seahawks just been like clearly far and away better than everyone.
They always play a game where it's super close, and they, even when they have the game won, they let the other team back in for like a glimpse and to make the game exciting. I don't know why. Maybe they just always want to play in prime time, so they're like, let's just allow these teams.
The Seattle Rams games are some of the ugliest games all year.
Oh yeah, I agree. So when they like to play those ugly games, so lean into that. But they can't play an ugly game if they're only on defense.
Yeah.
So take your time. Aaron Jones, run the ball with Aaron Jones and let Aaron Rodgers run too. That's the thing. And that's the common trend. All these quarterbacks are athletic. None, even Tom Brady runs sometimes. Like he's known to be like a pretty unathletic quarterback, but he still can like get into space and at least get like 5 yards.
Yeah.
That changes a defense that you're playing against. Like that changes the complexity of what they do, because if they think, oh, this guy's not going to run ever, they're able to drop back more, get more into coverage. But if you take off on them, that's in the back of their mind that you have that ability. And I think that's a really key thing that offenses are now keying in on. So with Aaron Rodgers, he's good about it. He'll take off too. And I think if he establishes that early, that will do nothing but help Aaron Jones out. And that will do nothing but help his receivers out too. Also, Devontae Adams, I think, will have a pretty good game. Just because he's been doing pretty well.
Shout out to Fresno.
Dude, shout out Fresno. Shout out Derek Carr. But yeah.
The Silver State Raiders.
Yeah, oh God, yeah. So yeah, that's what I think they have to do to beat the Seattle. Just keep the offense off the field, run the ball, make it ugly, and take as much time from the beginning of the game. Start taking time off the clock. Okay. Don't think of it as we got to score first. We got to be aggressive. Yeah, be aggressive, but
utilize 3 downs.
Exactly.
Utilize 3 downs.
Yes.
So if I could get picks out of you for the going into the conference championship, who do you like? AFC first.
Conference championship?
Going into it, who are your picks to enter the conference championship? So who will come out of divisional weekend?
AFC first, Baltimore and Kansas City. NFC. Honestly, I'm sorry, but I got to go Niners, Seahawks.
You're going to all NFC West, NFC Conference Championship.
I think that's what it will be, just because that Packers offense has kind of been somewhat uninspiring, and they've gotten to the point where they're at because of their easier schedule.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because they're a better team. I honestly think that New Orleans was a better team than the Packers, wholeheartedly.
I think they're a better team than Minnesota.
Oh, yeah, of course. But in the standings, like, New Orleans should have been the 2, and Green Bay should have been the 3.
Yeah.
And the Vikings should have gone into Green Bay. That's what it should have been, but Green Bay, New Orleans lost to San Francisco. Green Bay was able to eke out some other wins. They play in an easier division. There's a lot of things going into that. So I think that Seattle has what it takes to win on the road. They are a better road team than a home team, which does nothing but help them because they're never going to play a home game the rest of this postseason. So I would take them there. I think the Vikings are going to put up a hell of a fight, and I think actually that the Vikings-Niners game will go into overtime.
Wow.
But I think the Niners will take it with a Robbie Gould field goal. And then on the other side, I think...
The OG, Robbie Gould.
Yep. The mayor of Chicago. But I think that the Titans, although they will play very inspired against Baltimore, I think Lamar Jackson...
Washed out.
I think Lamar Jackson is just going to run all over that defense. And every time, like, they're going to have to keep pace with Lamar Jackson. The Titans are going to have to keep pace with Lamar Jackson. And that means you have to score 6 times in a row because they're just going to go down. Score.
You're not going to win that game with under 21 points.
No, you have to be able to be explosive and match their explosiveness on offense. If you can't do that, you're not going to win. And I don't think the Titans are going to do that.
Or set the tone, set the pace.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think they're going to do it. They don't have the defense to do that. They're not the Niners. They're not able to.
That's very true.
They're not able to keep them close like that. With the Houston Texans, I honestly don't know much about Houston, but I know a lot about Kansas City, being a Raiders fan.
Yeah.
Houston, and every year, based on history, Houston always goofs it up. They just always find a way. And I thought that they were going to find a way to just lose it to Buffalo in the first round. They didn't. Buffalo wanted to lose it more. So that's what happened. But
the curse of Roy Finkel.
Yeah.
Through. Roy Finkel, that's a Dolphins
reference. I know, I was going to say, I was like, Roy Finkel, damn. But yeah, I just think the Chiefs have a better quarterback. I think Mahomes is better than Watson.
Yeah.
I think they have more weapons at their disposal. I think Tyreek Hill, you put Tyreek Hill with Mahomes against Deshaun Watson with DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
I would take Hill and Mahomes just because they're at home, and 2, Andy Reid is a better offensive mind than Bill O'Brien.
I'd say so.
Who shouldn't be the head coach right now of the Texans. I would not. He has to go. Like, they're a perennial second round team. They get to the divisional round, they lose to the Chiefs or they lose to the Patriots. Like, every year, that's just who they are. They're like the Bengals of the early 2010s. Like, they get there, everyone's like, oh, is this the year? And they just, like, lose, and everyone's like, of course they're going to lose. Like, no one takes them. No one bets on them. And that's why I'm taking Kansas City. So that's what I think.
So you got Kansas City, Baltimore, Seattle, SF.
Yep.
I'm going to go the Kansas City Chiefs, I do not believe will make it to the Super Bowl.
Really?
Andy Reid, as great as a coach as he is, loses the big game.
Yes.
The question is, who is going to bring it to make it a big game? I think Deshaun Watson's going to bring it. I'm going Houston over Kansas City.
Wow.
Shocker.
Wow. So you're saying what? So are you sticking with Baltimore? Or are you sticking with the Texans or Titans?
I grew up, I was born in Northern California. I grew up in Southern Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up around Titans fans. I would love to see the Tennessee Titans get their moment. It's hard to vote against Baltimore. I'm going to go Houston versus Baltimore in the AFC. And then I'm going to go in the NFC. I'm going Green Bay, Minnesota.
Wow.
I'm going Green Bay, Minnesota. And then since, the podcast won't be out for another 2 weeks and I won't be here, I'm going to go ahead and give...
No, fuck it. We'll put this on Friday, so that way we all have... That way this can stay consistent. We'll just do it Friday. This will be out Friday.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and let you know that I think your Super Bowl will be Baltimore versus Green Bay.
No way.
I think it will be Baltimore versus Green Bay, and I think Baltimore will win it.
I think that will not even be close.
Really?
I think in the first half, Aaron Rodgers was going to, be vintage Aaron Rodgers.
We're theoretically talking about a Baltimore-Green Bay
Green
game.
Bay, yes.
Oh, no. Baltimore is going to wash Green Bay in the Super Bowl. Completely wash them out.
Yeah.
But I do think that will be the Super Bowl matchup, Baltimore.
Why do you think that the Niners will lose to Aaron Rodgers at home when every time.
No, I think the Niners will lose to Minnesota. And then
Minnesota
will lose to Green Bay in the conference.
Okay. Because then Minnesota would have to go into Lambeau.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But that'd be an awesome game. NFC North rivalry, the NFC North rivalry. I know people like to talk about Bears.
They haven't been
Packers.
as competitive.
No. For this past decade, it's Vikings, Packers.
I agree.
It would be a sick game.
Yeah, that would be a good game. That would be a really good NFC. That's not the NFC championship that anyone wants to see, but that would be a good game. That is interesting, though, going back to like what you said, past decade rivalries.
Yeah.
Niners Seahawks is right up there.
Really? You would go Niners Seahawks over Rams Seahawks?
Well, I'm just thinking of like them playing in big games. In
overall
this past
success.
Decade. Overall
success, I would agree with you. The Niners have had Niners and Seahawks have had the two better decades in the NFC West.
But their rivalries like have so many iconic moments of like when Richard Sherman was still on the Seahawks and they beat the Niners on Thanksgiving and ate turkey legs on the Niners logo on Thanksgiving. Oh, nothing was more sweet. Nothing was more sweet than that. That was a great time. Love that. Love that image.
Stand for boy too.
Just like totally
a turncoat.
But they came back.
Turkey turncoat.
Yeah, but he came back though. Other rivalries, I would say, Vikings, Packers. Another one. Vikings, Saints.
Yeah.
A lot of when Brett Favre.
Can't remember that game.
That Favre.
That ridiculous across the body pass Favre through to try to hit that Hail Mary and got picked off.
Oh, yeah. You love to see it. Great rivalry.
Brett Favre's not a good person.
You don't think so?
No. He cheated on his wife with cancer.
Oh, George Lopez did that too.
Yeah, but we love George Lopez. That's La Raza.
True. Yeah, yeah, to a degree. Another rivalry. Let's go.
There was some breaking NFL news this morning. Mike McCarthy, head coach for the Dallas Cowboys, announced this morning. How you feel about that? How you feel about the falsely perceived America's team getting Mike McCarthy?
Horrible. That's such a shamelessly, I was watching First Take this morning.
Yeah, I'll be honest. That's where I heard it too. I was watching a clip on YouTube.
And Stephen A. Smith said it best. He said it best when he was like, "What have you done for me lately?"
Yeah.
And I agree. I mean, does this guy have a lot of playoff wins? Yes. Does he have a Super Bowl ring? He does. Yes. But you can attribute that to Aaron Rodgers.
How much of Mike McCarthy's career success is because of Mike McCarthy?
I don't think a whole lot.
Aaron Rodgers.
I don't think a whole lot. Just because, same as this season, I don't think Matt LaFleur has done anything to. The only thing he's done to help Aaron Rodgers is implement Aaron Jones more and let him run.
Yeah.
So to his ability to think outside the box, good for him. But I honestly think any team with Aaron Rodgers will be competitive. Just like if Tom Brady leaves the Pats, which there are rumors that he might be going to.
How crazy would that be? At the end of a decade,
he might be going
literally
to
the start of a new decade, Tom Brady leaves the Pats.
Goes to the Chargers.
To the Chargers?
I've been hearing rumors, but staying on the Mike McCarthy thing.
Yeah.
You have a good quarterback. I think you're always will have a shot.
Mm.
And I think that's
a good running game.
And a good running game.
One of the best offensive lines.
The Packers have a good offensive line?
I'm talking about the Cowboys.
Oh, the Cowboys? Yeah. I think you always have a shot. I think Dak Prescott can he's a quarterback that with a good coach, you can win a Super Bowl. Like, for instance, I'll pick your guy. If Sean McVay was the coach of the Cowboys instead of Jason Garrett the past 2 seasons, I think the Cowboys would have at least gotten to a Super Bowl because all those weapons they've had and they have currently.
I mean, we went to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff.
Yeah, exactly.
Soft Goff.
And I think Prescott is an objectively better quarterback than Goff.
I would agree.
So the coach does a lot to enhance a team, and I think McCarthy is the type of coach that when he has a good team, he's able to boost that good team up a level.
Yeah.
But if he has a mediocre team, he can't boost a mediocre team up. Like, he has to have the talent in order to be able to work with the talent. Another thing I was reading online the other day was that McCarthy does not scheme his receivers to be open. He expects them to get open based on talent. So if he has a talented receiving core, a talented tight end that knows how to just get space naturally, then he can work. But if he doesn't have those weapons, he's not going to scheme them to be open. He's not going to help them
out.
The
3-12 season they had last year, something like that.
Yeah, it was like
4-10,
6-10, 7-9, something like that.
Yeah,
it wasn't a 3-12, but it felt like it for sure. So that's what I think. I think that McCarthy is just he's an average coach.
He's with the Cowboys now. How do you feel about the kind of perceived notion that the Cowboys are America's team?
Well, my dad has been on this podcast before, and he has had some very, very outspoken things to say about Cowboys fans, Cowboys Nation. Well, not Cowboys Nation, just Cowboys fans.
I echo those sentiments.
And I agree with my dad.
Yeah.
They are very delusional. They think that they always have a chance, even when they have no chance. And they have not been a team that America can hang their hat on since the 90s. Even before then, it was a while where they were just mediocre. So,
what is America's team?
I guess you have to define an attribute or attributes that America,
how much of it is American
values.
attributes, and how much of it is just widespread fan base?
Well, if we're going by fan base,
I would argue that perhaps Pittsburgh should be America's team if we're talking fan base.
Or the Raiders.
They're Steeler fans everywhere.
Oh.
Disgustingly so.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
They're like roaches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say Pittsburgh, if we're just talking fan base. If we're talking values and success, the Patriots are definitely America's team.
The cheaters.
Yeah, because they'll win by any means necessary, and which used to be the Raiders thing, but now
including bombing cultural sites.
Oh God! We're getting into that. Are we getting into that? Oh boy. Yeah. So I think it would be the Patriots, but look, I'm a Raiders fan. This past season was very tough, and I always talk about the Raiders as if I'm in a relationship with them. And it's a very abusive one. And I know a lot of Raiders fans also agree. They're a team you have no expectations for. Just like, I'm a straight guy, so I'm going to talk from the point of view as a straight guy. You're with a girl. She disappoints you time after time after time. Everyone's telling you, look.
Disappoints you in what way?
In every
sexually.
No, in every way possible. I'm not talking sexual. Like randomly, like you're living with her,
just
right?
win, baby.
You're living with her. All of a sudden, she just gets fired from her job,
and she hasn't worked since.
And she hasn't worked in 6 months. And you're just like, can you please just I know you can do it.
She's 27 years old. She hasn't filed for health insurance. Covered California's around the corner, and you're finna get hit with a fine on your tax returns.
Exactly. And you're just like, look, please just go out and get a job, like anything. And she's like, okay, you know what I'll do? I'll hire John Gruden. So she hires John Gruden, and
that's like getting a job at Hooters.
Yeah, and things get worse. She gets harassed all the time. She comes home crying. You have to be there helping her out and trying to be the rock for her. All of a sudden, it's another year, and she gets another job, right? She gets 2 jobs.
This time it's at Tilted Kilt.
And it's Mike Mayock. And you're like, okay, this is 2 jobs. I'm still working at where I'm working at. This is not as bad as before. Like, it feels like we're moving in the right direction. And then she breaks the news to you. Guess what? It happened at work. What? I got a new manager. Oh, really? Yeah. His name's Antonio Brown. He said he's going to give me a raise. He's going to give me a fat raise. And you're just like, oh,
He's
dude.
commissioned me to make paintings of murals in his home.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Can't wait. Oh, really? Awesome. Oh, man. How much he's going to pay you? Oh, I'm going to make like probably $35 an hour just at that one job. Oh, man. Okay.
And then you see the text.
Oh, man. And then helmets happen. And all this happens. And you're like, and then she's like, actually, he's getting fired because he's just crazy.
Yeah.
So then he leaves. And she's like, okay, well.
Now she's found a more attractive suitor. He has more money. Thing is, he lives in a different state. And she's like, Marco, I have to leave. I have to go with this guy. You can come too. But this relationship is now an open one.
Yeah. And then my dad comes over and he's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, son, but I've been with her too when she left me for Los Angeles. So I feel you. I feel you. Dad, you were with her too? Yes, I was, son. It was a long time ago. She doesn't look that old, I know. She's very deceiving.
It's like that scene in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade when Sean Connery and Harrison Ford are tied up to the chairs back to back. And there's a fire going on around them.
Basically, yeah. It's the same thing.
Disclaimer, there's absolutely nothing shameful about working at either Hooters or Tilted Kilt. Those are fine, outstanding young women.
Oh, of course, yeah. No, they're great people.
Best fried pickles you can get are at Hooters.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Hooters is a good place.
Just generally good service.
Everyone's friendly.
You will get genuinely good service at Hooters and Tilted Kilt. Whether those are true, like authentic, or not, who cares?
I agree. It's still good food.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's on my bucket list to have a birthday at Hooters one day.
I used to go to Hooters all the time from like 2009 to 2012. Me and a couple of the boys would go to the Hooters down in Clarksville off Fort Campbell. And we would go watch UFC fights.
Nice.
Like damn near like twice a month.
Yeah.
Love Hooters.
It's a good time.
Love Hooters.
Always a good time. So yeah, no disparaging the fine establishments that are Hooters and
Tilted Kilt.
But yeah, so it was a really hard season as a Raiders fan.
Yeah.
A lot of ups and downs. They made you think you had a chance at the playoffs. Then all of a sudden they didn't. And then all of a sudden they really did again. And then they lost to the fucking Jets and it all went downhill. And then at the last second, everyone's like, no, the Raiders actually have a chance, Marco. They actually have a chance if all these teams lose and the Raiders win. And of course, to the very end, they just disappoint. And it was a really hard season because that was the last season in Oakland.
Marriage counseling couldn't save it.
No. And I was very close to leaving the Raiders fandom again, as I have for the past like 3 seasons, because they just find a way to just get under my skin and challenge my principles as a person.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm sticking with them. I love Vegas as a city, and I'm excited to see them in Vegas when I go down there probably in September next year. So, yeah, that's all I have to say.
Remaining loyal. Your fandom is true.
It is. Much like...
Very admirable.
You could almost say I'm loyal to the nation, the Raider Nation. I'm very nationalistic, just like a lot of people are nationalistic in today's day and age, because you're seeing a lot of things.
Marco,
on Twitter.
Have you been on 4chan talking to other white teenagers?
No, nothing like that. But maybe some other people have, because there's a draft coming, apparently.
You think so?
That's what's on Twitter. I don't think that's going to happen.
A military draft?
That's what people are predicting, but I don't
World War III?
I don't think that's going to happen. It's just a joke. I think most people are just joking about it. But this is a very serious situation that we are in as a country, I think, with the actions that Donald Trump has carried out.
The thing that's most concerning to me is that there has not been like a true explanation as to why these actions have been carried out.
Yeah.
Are we dealing with crimes before they happen now? Is that where we're heading as a country?
Well, I don't know the answer to that question, but I do know what that gentleman who got killed by.
Yeah, no tears for that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't a good guy.
He wasn't a good guy, but I know what he was doing in Iraq. And from the reports I've seen, he actually was on a peace mission to try to de-escalate Iraqi, Saudi tensions.
Yeah.
And so he was going as like a neutral third party, and he was called to go there by the United States.
What?
He was requested to go to Iraq.
This is like MK Ultra.
As that third party by the U.S. The U.S. requested Iraq to send, or either the U.S. requested Iraq to request for that guy to come to Iraq, or they requested Iran to send him. But either way,
curious.
Either way, really fucking bad move by the U.S. and it's scary, and it's kind of disheartening. I mean, I've known this for a long time, but it's disheartening to see that further are we going down the rabbit hole of war and violence, and we're a nation that's going to perpetually be in that. And honestly, taking it into an avenue that I think you can agree with, watching these Star Wars movies, especially the first trilogy.
You think we're turning into the Empire?
We are already the Empire. We are like.
Let me ask you this. This is a bold comparison. We're not even sure that the world was better off when the Empire fell.
That's true.
So that's something to consider. I'm curious. I'm curious about the timing of it all. The impeachment is pending. The impeachment trials are pending.
Mm-hmm. With the Senate.
Definitely not a good look. Do you think that this assassination, as it is being penned by some candidates, was but a mere distraction
from the
impeachment? Do you think this was meant to kind of cloak the real issue and perhaps unify people behind a common foe?
Possibly, but I think people are waking up to the tactics used by the government and by political candidates, and by people in power to stay in power. I think there's a lot of talk. I don't know about the older generations because I don't talk to people who are necessarily older other than like my family.
Yeah.
But on Twitter, from the discourse I'm seeing, a lot of people are claiming like, in times of re-elections, in times of internal political strife, there's always a war that comes around to unify everybody.
Coincidence.
Or to help somebody get reelected. I mean, FDR ran on that premise for 3 terms. So
that was a world war.
It was different. I agree with that.
I mean, it was legitimately good versus evil.
Yes, but it still was that premise.
Yeah.
Of like,
one could contend that had FDR not died, that perhaps the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki would not have been utilized.
True. Only
considering FDR's relationship with Stalin was completely and utterly different than Truman's relationship with Stalin.
Yeah. I mean, those summits that they had, just
night and day.
Learning about that, it was bad.
Yeah. The more you learn about it, the more I've learned that Harry Truman was kind of a pussy.
Yeah. Thanks, Morales.
You have no culture.
But yeah, I agree with that. But it's just it's disheartening to see that we are a country that it looks like it will be in a perpetual state of war, and we are perceived around the world as a country that is more so of a bully that you want to stay on the good side of as opposed to the bad side of. And if you're on the bad side, you will get picked on mercilessly forever. It seems that way, unless you get obliterated by us in the terms of when you look at Germany, when you look at Japan, countries like that who literally got obliterated by us and now have been nothing but allies and staunch allies to us.
Yeah.
Since. And part of me is wondering if that's what I mean, that is what we've been doing in the Middle East. Been tearing down.
Failing, though, now. Iraq. What I've seen is that Iraq has, ordered the immediate removal of all U.S. forces out of Iraq. So it seems, if anything, that this attack on this military official, whose name I will not attempt to pronounce, unifies the Middle East
against us. Yeah.
The in fact opposite effect of what was intended.
Yeah, and
a rebirth of the Persian Empire.
Honestly, I don't think there's really a place for us there. I understand that America wants control over oil because that is a huge resource that we need.
Do we even get the majority of our oil from the Middle East?
I don't know. Possibly.
Or do we get it from Canada? I know Canada is a big oil producer, I believe.
Well, let's look it up. Go ahead and keep talking, and I'll look it up.
It's a very complicated situation. I don't feel educated enough to really offer authentic, valid points on it. All I can offer are more questions, because that's all I have. What was the intent of this attack? What was the goal? And I think these are questions that every American should be asking. What is the mission objective as a whole in the Middle East? What is our purpose over there? What are we hoping to achieve? What do we want? Do we want democracy to reign in the region?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but it seems that, and I'm trying to tread lightly here, but it seems like the region is reluctant.
Right.
Maybe not for democracy widespread. Perhaps the general populace is in favor of democracy, but it seems like there is just a clear divide of hierarchy between those with power and those with not. That I question if change is possible.
Yeah. It is a good question to pose, and hopefully this will help shed some light on it. It looks like, as of right now, the U.S. is gaining about 40% of its oil from Canada. But Iraq and Saudi Arabia are both part of OPEC.
Okay.
Right? So OPEC in general...
Maybe you should explain what OPEC is.
OPEC is let's see. Man, I do not have that up at the moment.
I'll look up OPEC.
Let me see. So OPEC is defined as an abbreviation for Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, which is a union of oil-producing countries that regulate the amount of oil each country is able to produce. So an example of OPEC members are Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Iraq. But, interesting to note, other OPEC countries are also Venezuela.
Nothing going on there.
Yeah, of course not. Let me see.
I would assume if we're getting 40% of our oil from Canada, Canada's in OPEC.
Yeah.
I mean, I would assume.
No, Canada is not in OPEC.
Interesting.
But it's the first 5 members of OPEC. Now, this is a very well-known fact, but when I read these off, think about it.
Okay.
The first 5 members: Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela. The first 5.
Yeesh.
Now there are more. So now Algeria has joined, Angola, Congo,
North African, Central African countries.
Ecuador, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Libya, Nigeria, the UAE, United Arab Emirates, and Venezuela. So more countries have joined, but the first 5 are the ones that
They're the big 5.
America has been heavily involved in.
Okay, so we probably get that remaining 60% of our oil from a conglomerate of those countries.
Yes, I would say some. We do get some from Mexico.
Yeah.
We do get some more from
Saudi Arabia, some more from...
Yeah, but Saudi Arabia is part of OPEC.
Yeah.
So just overall OPEC takes up, I'd say, like 35%. And then the rest is just like smaller countries that just make up that remaining, what is that, 15%? So when you look at the history of America and the history of war recently, it's very centered around OPEC and the countries that are part of that agreement. So I think that what we have to do, if we want to stop getting into perpetual war with these countries, is
remove our dependence on oil.
Exactly. We have to start pivoting towards renewable energy and nuclear energy because we have higher technology that can handle nuclear energy in a safer, more clean, and sustainable way than in the past. I feel like nuclear energy is stigmatized now because they see Chernobyl and all these disaster movies and Japan. Mm-hmm. But I think now with the technology we have better control over nuclear energy. I know there's other energies that are being pioneered right now that I don't remember the specific types of energy, but I know there's more cleaner energy that's being developed.
Well, at the very least, here in California, solar energy.
Yeah.
I'm sure the same for Arizona, New Mexico.
The western states.
Texas, maybe.
Yeah. So I think we need to pivot more towards that, but the thing that's getting in the way of that, corporations that make profit off of oil, so they want to not remove the dependency because they want to make more money, but that's killing our world, and that's killing our planet, and that's killing our country from the inside out and from the outside in, all at the same time. So that hopefully that happens, but it's harder. It's easier said than done, but that is what needs to happen.
Did you see the Iranian parliament deaf to America chants? I heard that there was a clarification on a Iranian official.
Oh, yeah.
When they say death to America, they don't mean the American people. They mean Donald Trump, Mike Pompeo, and some other donk.
Yeah. And I saw on Twitter somebody was like, yeah, they can have them.
Yeah.
Like, take them, like, please. Just.
I mean, perhaps it's very well, no, there's no perhaps. It's unpatriotic, to besmirch the office of the president.
Yes.
But trading 3 lives for the potential of hundreds of thousands of young American lives. If you just take away the seat of office and you just think 3 lives versus hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, I agree. But then again, we're going to have a new president, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Because this is actually doing the opposite of what in the past moves like this have done to presidents.
Yeah.
Usually times of war boosts
voter turnout
for that current president.
Do you think it will do the opposite?
I think it will. I think it will because a lot of people see, like, look, we already have problems here.
And we got the Democratic primary coming up soon.
Very soon. Hopefully I'll be able to vote in that. But
you could probably do an absentee, right?
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, so there's a lot of things already going on internally in America.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people on both sides are getting tired of constant occupation of these other countries.
Yeah.
Just for corporations and the wealthy, classes to gain more money on the backs of other people. I think both sides are getting tired of it. I don't think this is a partisan issue at all.
I agree 100%. I mean, too many lives have been lost for reasons unbeknownst to to the public.
Yeah. And I mean, you talk to veterans of the Iraq occupation and of the Gulf War. Yeah, all those things. All those times. They don't actual vets who are there don't talk. They talk highly of like the guys that they served with, the people who sacrificed their lives for them to survive and for the rest of America to flourish. But they don't speak highly of the decision to go in there in the first place.
Yeah.
They don't. Most of them don't.
Bound by duty and honor.
Exactly. So, it's
if there were to be a draft implemented and you were chosen,
going to be the first overall pick.
Would you,
Roger Goodell.
Would you be a conscientious objector, or would you serve?
I don't, as a person.
I'm not saying dodge.
Yeah.
Because that is shameful. If you're a draft dodger, shameful, Donald Trump. If you're a conscientious objector and you have true legitimate reasons, no shame.
No, I wouldn't dodge, or I wouldn't try to like get out of it. If it came to that, I would go, and I'd have to make the best of it.
You'd serve your duty, Jon Snow.
I would serve it not for the country, not for
the leader,
no,
but
just for the people that I know, and I know that like my dad can't go.
Yeah,
I know my brother served in the Army. I know my grandpa wanted to be drafted, but because he had flat feet, they wouldn't let him. So he basically had to lie to get into the Army in the Korean War. There's some family reasons as to why I would go, but overall, I'm just the type of person, if people are saying that they need my help, I'm not going to turn them away if it's a dire situation. And I think the only way there would be a draft is if it's like a
world war.
That's the only way. You guys saw a post on Twitter the other day.
Western civilization versus the Persian Empire.
I saw a post on Twitter the other day, and basically it was saying how the draft will never happen again unless war is on like the literal border of America, because poverty is the new draft. You go into the Army, you go into the Marines, they promise you money, they promise you to pay off all these things, they give you they hook you up if you join.
Hey, I mean, so, I've been considering it just with student loans.
Yeah, exactly. So they don't now they're using students, and they're using other incentives to get people into military service instead of, you got to serve your country, son. Out
of just, a moral sense of duty, they're saying, okay, look, here's a carrot.
Exactly. And people are taking the carrot. A lot of people are taking the carrot. So
yeah, I mean, I can't lie, it's alluring.
It is.
And they're taking full advantage of what is a broken educational system. I believe I referenced it last time as indentured servitude.
Yes, it is. In a way, yeah. And so that's,
I mean, I don't fault them for it either.
Why not?
I mean, it is a viable option.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're talking, 2 to 4 years service, potentially not wartime service.
Yeah.
And you get a bulk of your student loans covered. I mean, that's not a bad deal, considering the time in which the deal is made.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not a wartime deal, I mean, you consider one, it's an adventure. You're going to get to travel, see the world.
Yeah.
You'll be stuck. You'll have a structure. You won't have things like house payments or car payments. If you have all that squared away, your housing is taken care of.
It's true.
I don't think it's a bad deal at all. I mean,
it's not a bad deal.
In total honesty, it's something I've been considering after I graduate. By that time, I'm sure I'll be too old for, say, the Army, the Marines.
Right.
perhaps, the Air Force, Coast Guard, or Navy.
Yeah.
It's something that I am considering.
Mm-hmm.
Just to rid myself of the financial burden of, chasing a creative artistic dream.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. And the opportunity is there, so why not take it? But just for me...
there's also Peace Corps, AmeriCorps, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think that those, because veterans still are very, I think, underappreciated monetarily by...
Severely so.
So because of that, I understand why the military has been utilized as a method, to help people, to try to get people in.
Yeah.
By giving them things, because there's people in the past that were literally given nothing before or after they joined.
Well, I mean,
so
look at, how combat veterans are treated after their service.
Yeah.
I mean, a solid percentage of poverty and homelessness consists of, combat veterans.
Yeah.
I think, it's one of the great shames of our society.
Mm-hmm.
Is we have no problem celebrating the freedom built upon the bodies laid dead by our combat veterans and the sacrifices they make.
Yeah.
And yet we have no appreciation for those who lay that foundation.
Exactly. So it's a weird situation right now. It's really kind of sad.
Yeah.
And couple that with everything happening in Australia.
Those bushfires, man.
Dude, it's
gnarly.
It's crazy. Like, the show that I'm actually playing tonight, I made the decision yesterday to take all the money that I'm going to make from selling CDs and put 100% of the proceeds and send it to the Australian Red Cross.
Yeah.
To help them. It's not going to I'm not going to get a lot, but I mean, it's something. I feel bad and I want to give anything I can.
Yeah.
I probably will match whatever I make and give that. So
watch it be like one of the biggest shows of the year.
A lot of people are going.
$800.
Yeah, I'd be like, fuck. But I mean, I'll do it. I'll do it though. I don't care. I'll do it. Fuck
I don't care. I'll do it. Something that's interesting, at least to me. So everyone knows you'll be going to Sweden.
Yes.
A complete and utter political ideology.
Yeah, very different. Right?
What are your feelings? What are your feelings towards it? What do you anticipate? Are there some things that you'll think that you're not looking forward to?
Mm-hmm.
Some things that may negatively impact you. Some things that might
it's an interesting
positively
question.
impact you.
I like that question. I'm an open book when it comes to political ideology, and like before Andrew Yang was prominently known in America, I didn't know what a universal basic income was at all.
Mm.
But I wasn't shy to learn about it. And I'm not shy to learn about any other form of government either. But I know as an outsider going into that country, you're going to live there for 6 months. I'm going to be very respectful of the process that country abides by, their rules, regulations, policies. And I'm not going to try to stir the pot at all, especially being an American.
Yeah.
And especially since there are a lot of refugees in Sweden who do not necessarily think very highly of Americans.
Mm.
I'm definitely going to try my best to steer clear of any sort of political discourse that is any sort of antagonistic or anything like that. I'm going to try to stay away from that. But lucky for me, there are perks to being a minority sometimes, and this is one of those.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody will think that I am American or Mexican. I think a lot of people will think that I'm
a refugee.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know about that, but maybe they think I herald from that area of the world. So I may be able to, get around slightly easier than others, because there are some neighborhoods there that have been kind of taken over by like refugee like gangs.
Wow.
Not taken over, but influenced, kind of like when you look at the early 1900s New York, Boston, there's refugees coming from Ireland, there's people coming from Italy.
Yeah, this is the story of humans.
Yeah, and they come in, there's refugees, and then there's within those refugee groups there's people there's
outliers,
there's
who lean towards deviancy, and there are those who ingratiate themselves.
Exactly. So
there is a theory that contends that deviancy is simply a response to society's, how would you put it?
Their perception of that group?
Society shortcomings.
Oh, that's an interesting theory. I think it might be caused by the idea of, like, if somebody says you're going to amount to nothing.
Yeah.
Over and over, and the society, will keep reinforcing that idea.
Yeah.
One day you're going to think, well, maybe I am just going to amount to nothing, and you just stop. Or if society tells you and your family, like, no, you're going to be something one day. You're going to be something. Maybe not a specific thing, but you're going to be famous, or you're going to be well off. You will be good.
Positive reinforcement.
Okay. So if people that refugees that are not necessarily wanted by the population come into an area and they're told, we don't want you here, we don't like you, we don't understand your culture. Yeah. Not saying that the Swedish people are saying that to the refugees, but I'm just saying in general.
Negative reinforcement.
It's negative reinforcement. So like, okay.
Spoken into reality.
Mm-hmm. It's like, then we're not going to, okay, then if you don't like us, then we're not going to abide by anything that you want us to, and we're going to do our own thing. And
yet, on the flip side, it is easier to sell drugs. It is more financially viable to sell drugs, which would be classified as a deviant standard, than it is to punch into a 9-to-5.
Is it?
More lucrative.
It is. No taxes.
Yeah.
But
I think it's a mixture of both.
It can be. I think it can be. But yeah, so I'm not going to try to get involved with any of those types of people or anything like that. But I know that there are sections of Sweden that are influenced by groups like that. So I'm going to have to be mindful of that. I have to understand I'm not in America. There are different dynamics at play. And I just have to figure out where I fit in with all those dynamics. But I'm going to be safe, and I'm going to just kind of stick to, the
Will you be in Stockholm?
I'm going to be in Gothenburg.
Oh, sick.
The west side of Sweden.
Dope.
Yep. Always sticking to the west.
Always sticking
to the west. But yeah, so I'm excited to go. It'll be a good time. I'm going to miss it here, like talking to my mom and stuff. Yeah. I kind of hit me that I'm leaving. This is my last weekend in California.
Very true.
Next 6 months. Yep. And I leave next Thursday. So it's going to be a big deal, man. And I just hope that I just hope the flight there, nothing happens with luggage. Nothing.
You want a smooth transition.
I just want it to be smooth. I just want to check my bag in, get on the plane, sit there, watch The Irishman, watch a couple movies that are really long, get to London, have that layover.
Yeah.
Figure out what to do during that layover, and then get to fucking Sweden and
settle in.
Settle in. I would just want it to be smooth. I don't want there to be any hiccups because, yeah. But to get a little deep for a minute, I must say that my experience living in San Francisco, I feel like, has readied me to go onto this journey. If it wasn't for me struggling in San Francisco, I would not feel comfortable enough to go to another part of the world and live by myself for 6 months. Yeah, because I did that for a year. So if I could do it for a year, I could do it, in San Francisco, which is
outrageous,
considerably more expensive than Gothenburg.
Yeah,
I can do it in Gothenburg.
Also riddled with shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Riddled with shit.
Very much so.
You're also transitioning out of another phase of your life, your tenure at the store.
You can call it now. Greg said it on the podcast, the UPS store.
Wow.
He said it.
The UPS store, both my former employer, Marco's current employer for the time being, the UPS store.
Turn 40.
Turn 40. The 1040 crew.
Yep.
You will be transitioning out of that.
Mm-hmm. I can talk about
a few things.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back. What are your feelings about it as a whole?
Yeah.
What was good? What was bad? What do you take from it?
Well, where do I start? So when I first got there, I was 17, and
This is your first time there? Before San Francisco?
Yeah, before San Francisco. I started there when I was in high school. I was not supposed to work there, actually. I shouldn't have been working there because under the franchise agreement that Greg has with the UPS store, you have to be 18 or older to work there because you have to become a notary.
Yeah.
You have to be live scan eligible. I was not 18. I was 17. I was a young buck.
Greenhorn.
And Greg, saw, I don't know.
You were the Lenny of the crew.
He said,
Lenny!
Yeah. He said that he saw something in me and he wanted to help, push me forward in life and stuff. So that's why he took the chance on me. And I struggled a lot. Mm-hmm. You weren't there at the time, but I know old AA Alvis, who we've had on the podcast before. He was the manager at the time, was the manager for a long time at that store prior to me becoming assistant manager.
So was Joey.
Joey, too. He was the assistant manager for a time.
Jose
was there at the time, too. The felon. And I struggled immensely at that job because it was my first real job. And there are a lot of things that go along with working there. You have to learn, how to use copiers, which I never did before. You have to learn how to do packing correctly, which took me a while to get.
I struggled with the fax machine.
Fax machine, yep. You have to also, customer service, huge part of it.
70%.
And talking to people, before I started there, I was very nervous to talk to anybody. I was super self-conscious, and I was scared that I would just get laughed at for even trying to talk to anybody. So I tried to keep to myself generally. So when I started there and I had to be more upfront and put myself out there more, I struggled at that. I struggled with figuring out the technology. The only thing I knew how to do good was graphic design stuff. So for a time, I was the interim graphic designer at the store because the other graphic designer left. And then I left that store for a time and worked at a store in San Francisco. And I was super immature that entire tenure. I almost quit. Greg almost fired me. And I hated being there. I hated working. And I was just too immature, I think, to understand what it means and what it takes to work that 8-hour shift that you have to work normally at anywhere. I was used to doing, in high school, you're in a class for 1 hour at a time. It's something new every time. To be in one place for 8 hours, it felt like it,
especially a place small
like that. And I had to learn how to manage my time.
Yeah.
Cause I was in high school, I figure, okay, I want to sleep in and lounge for, 5 hours a day and then work for 4 hours and then come back home and lounge again. Going through that transition from having school be the center of my universe to work be the center of my universe was hard and daunting, and it sucked. And I know it sucks for a lot of people.
Demoralizing
because you're just doing the same thing over and over, and the amount of people that you talk to a day shrinks a lot. But when I went to San Francisco and I lived there by myself, and I struggled with my coworkers there and with the boss there, who was an absentee owner, I really became appreciative of what Greg does at the store because, he does handle a lot of things that we as staff don't have to even think about, which I had to do damn near everything at the store in San Francisco. And I barely knew how to do my own job. And here I am having to fill in for the manager. I don't even know how to do any of these managerial things. I just had to learn on the fly. We were super understaffed. The owner just cared about the bottom line, and all he would do is just come in just to tell us that we had to make him more money, and then he would just leave. So when I came back from San Francisco after, realizing that I, just needed to come back, I had a higher appreciation for the store and for the guys that worked there. And although there were some issues that I had to work through, I was able to step into the role and be like 15 times better than I was prior.
Yeah.
So I saw myself grow a lot. I was able to handle things a lot more. And I feel like I grew a lot at that store. As a person, I went through a lot of things, I went through a breakup while I was at the store, and you guys helped me a lot getting through that. There was a lot of other personal things that happened that, you guys became my friends and my brothers, because there was only dudes that worked there until like 5 months ago.
My entire time there, from the time you came back, because I was only there for, 2-3 weeks before you came back for your second time. All dudes.
No, that's wrong. Mia.
Yeah. With the exception of Mia.
Wow. Sorry, Mia.
Sorry, Mia. With the exception of Mia, yeah.
Yeah. So you guys were like my brothers, and, I am appreciative of everything that I went through there, the experiences that I've had. I'll never say I'll never go back, because I don't want to put a definitive end to anything, just like I don't want to put a definitive end on the podcast, because I can always come back to this and do this, just like I can always go back there if I need to.
Yeah.
But seeing myself grow from that 17-year-old kid who thought that he was going to quit after a month or get fired to becoming the manager or assistant manager of the store, and being the person that everyone's looking to for help and to lead the example, honestly makes me feel really good. And it makes me feel like no matter what the circumstances are, when you start something, you can always finish it on top.
Yeah.
If you put the work in, you put the time in, you can. I didn't necessarily want to put the time in or the work in to do this and to be there, but it is what it is. I'm there. I've been there for that long, and it's just it's nice to know that everyone's in my corner and everyone supports me. And I'm just thankful for you guys. And if it wasn't for the store, this podcast would not have happened.
Yeah, I know. Speaking on my behalf, the one thing I remember, or I take away from it most, was just the bonds and the friendships that came out of that team.
Yeah.
Consisting of you, myself.
All the guys have been on there.
Aaron,
Evan,
the ghost Evan,
Anthony,
Jose, Urwundo,
even Victor,
and Joey.
Yeah.
Spencer, the Galt boy.
Oh,
Can't forget about the Galt boy.
Mia. Even Issa.
Yeah. Even Issa. And can't forget my man Andrew Noctis. Drew Dog.
Theo Drew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to all those guys. Yeah. Dodge. Game time.
Swoosh. The Al Davis of UPS. Yeah, the store, the store is where, it was the origin for a lot of things this decade. I know it capped off from 2015 to the end of 2019.
Yeah.
For myself, half a decade. For yourself, more so.
Mm-hmm.
The bonds. I think that's the important thing to take away, not only from this decade, but from life in general. The relationships that you form are the most important thing in your life. Good friends will be there for you when you need it most, to help lift you up and to celebrate you and who you are as an individual. It's that acceptance that we referenced earlier when talking about Uncut Gems.
Yeah.
Can't speak enough about that.
Acceptance is key for any relationship.
Yeah.
Any relationship.
So consider that. And yeah.
I mean, I just want to say before we go that it's been a pleasure producing this podcast for you guys. I know it's going to be a while till you hear from me again, but you will. It's not necessarily the end, but it is the end of season 1. And this season started when I got back from Boston, my trip in Boston. And it's ending prior to my trip, going out even further east. So it's kind of poetic in that way. I want to thank Quinn specifically for being the first guest I had on and for being the only other host that has ever hosted this podcast. Without you, I wouldn't have been able to do this show. I wouldn't have been able to even have the idea to make the Closers podcast a thing. If it wasn't for you and Joey for pushing me to do this, because you guys just wanted to go on the podcast and like just talk and ramble. You guys wanted that.
Yeah, it was just an excuse to drink beers after work.
Yeah.
And smoke a little Pacololo. And,
yeah. And you just wanted...
And ramble.
Exactly. That's what you guys wanted to do, and I obliged, and it turned into something bigger than I expected. And we'll see what happens, but thank you specifically. I know a lot of fans of the show like when you come on. They enjoy the commentary, the way you perceive things, and I hope that if there is a future for the Closers podcast, you are part of it. And I want to thank also Joey, Jose, Erwin, Victor, Jocelyn, she was on here.
Yeah.
Greg, who was on the last episode. Mr. Steensland, Professor Steensland.
My mentor.
The mentor.
My mentor.
Yep.
Shout out to Professor Steensland.
Yep.
Oh, hey, Mark.
Thank you to Andrew Gale.
Anthony
Stewart. Evan, even though I don't know where you are, but thank you to you two for coming on for episode 5.
We lost Evan in the snap.
Yeah, we lost Evan in the snap. I don't know where you went. Thank you to, I'm trying to think of everybody that's been on the podcast. I don't want to just leave people out. Thank you to Kay Hella and Osti A for being guys that, like, were some of the nicest people I've ever met. And they didn't have to be, but they were. And they've supported the show, given me ideas of how to make the show better. Always being down to be on the show, down to collaborate, down to do anything. Just thank you guys for being open and allowing your audience to listen to me ramble for a minute. And, you know, that's really fucking cool. Thank you to Jib, Brianna Carmel, and Melissa Schiller. Without you three, my music wouldn't be what it is, and this podcast wouldn't be what it is. The fact that my podcast, part of my podcast with Jib, played on the radio because Melissa Schiller has a show. I don't know if she still does, but she had a radio show that aired every other week or something in Davis, and she played part of this podcast on the radio.
That's insane.
It's insane.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Bree and Jib. I'll see you guys tonight for coming on and being great guests. Thank you for the 3 girls or the 4 girls in Bliss City who came on. 2 of them are not part of the crew anymore, part of their crew, but Emily, Chrissy, Angel, and Sydney. Thank you guys for making that episode amazing. Again, thank you, Carlitos, for coming on whenever I needed somebody. Jake Phillips, Lucas Morales came on one time.
No relation
to Professor Morales, but
this one had culture.
This one did have culture. He did. Thank you to Poe and Narayan. Thank you to I'm trying to think, Gavin Stein. I think I might have said his name before, but thank you to him. He's my best friend, and he's always trying to help me strive to do what I want. And without his support, you know, I don't think I'd be here. If I missed anybody else who's been on the show, Grant Chesson. Thank you, Grant Chesson. I'm trying to make sure that I get everybody.
Well,
I don't want to leave anybody out.
I'll say that I would like to thank Marco for obviously starting the podcast and featuring me on a quarter of the episodes. It's been super, super awesome for me to, you know, I was there at the beginning. and it's cool to be here at the end of the season finale. Thank you, Marco, for your friendship. Thanks everyone who worked at the UPS store. You guys are my bros for life.
Oh yeah.
Thank you to the audience.
Yeah.
Who tuned in for every episode, for closing out the week, for the Closers podcast. You guys are super stellar.
Oh, definitely.
I know perhaps it's a little erroneous for me to speak as a one-time host, but definitely you guys are the oil that keeps the engine running.
Definitely. Definitely.
And with that being said...
2 more people I want to just say.
Yeah.
I left out Maxwell Thogmartin, the president, and Chase Lovin, the vice president. They came on to give some really good political...
That's right.
Political commentary. I appreciate those guys a lot. And also, my family. My mom was on this podcast. My dad was on this podcast.
The kitties, titties,
and
LaPatty. Can't forget him.
And my older brother, Zach, who no one knew I had an older brother, but he was on the show too for closing out the week. So thank you to both of them, and also, or to the 3 of them, and also Max and Chase for coming on. Also, thank you to Cooper Edwards and Blue Hatfield, 2 of the most interesting young men I know, came on to share and just like ramble for a minute, and that was a very memorable episode. Very, very interesting variety pod, and I think I got everybody else who's been on the show. I'm pretty sure. Thank you, Double A.
Yeah.
Double A, and everyone
wherever
else.
you are.
Yep, wherever you are
in the big wide world on a big old boat. Thank you, Double A.
Also, JP the Kid. He's got a lot of big things coming for him. So thank you to him for coming on and sharing his music with everybody. And talking about all the artists that I've had on. The 12th Human, who I just interviewed all the way from New York, calling into the show, making that happen. That was really fun to do. Thank you to them as well. And also Ali Sarantopoulos and Mackenzie Ablong. To hear their story of how they have grown over time and their passion for art and fashion. Super fucking cool. And I appreciate them as friends and as guests as well. And like Quinn said, thank you to the audience. It was really cool to be able to do this for as long as it did. I didn't think we'd be able to do it. And also, one quick last shout out to Elias Garcia. Talking about comic books, talking about just awesome stuff in general. What he's been up to, his comic book, The Cosmic Lore. Check that out.
And if you are a comic book fan, please read The Immortal Hulk by Al Ewing. It is the best comic out right now.
Yes, I agree. And I think I got everybody. I think I thanked everybody who's contributed to this episode or this podcast and has been on a show. Thanks, Greg, for allowing us to record in the back of his store.
Yeah,
for
sure.
The first 3 episodes.
Thank you, Greg.
And thanks everyone for the support. Hope I will see you guys and you will hear me again at some point soon. And is there anything else you want to say, Quinn?
With that, we are at the end of the road. It has been a long season. It has been a great season. Hopefully you enjoyed listening to it as much as I know Marco has enjoyed producing it. So with that, I do farewell. Buenos dias, adios, and of course, aloha. Farewell.
See you guys. Love you all. Bye.